How I Live Now by Meg Rossoff is a young adult novel about a teen girl named Daisy moving from New York to England, where her aunt and cousins live. She gets acquainted with her new situation. Then, her aunt leaves. Only just a day after, a bomb goes off at a train station and a war officially starts. Daisy quickly falls in love with Edmund, her middle cousin. Despite the odd relationship, the feelings are mutual, and they stuck together. She also developed a bond with Piper, the youngest cousin. One day, Daisy and Piper get separated from Edmund. Daisy and Piper quickly escape and go back to their England home. Then, after 6 years, Daisy meets and stays with an emotionally scarred Edmund. I picked this book due to me being intrigued by the odd relationship that Daisy and Edmund have. Lovers, yet cousins. Weird, but I'll let it slide. Also, while most of the book was only just okay, the end was actually quite good. A quote that can best describe Daisy is, "By the summer I went to England to stay with my cousin, everything changed. Part of that was because of the war, which supposedly changed lots of things, but I can't remember much about life before the war anyways, so it doesn't count in my book. Mostly everything changed because of Edmund. This is because Edmund is truly the driving force for Daisy, and the war is just secondary." Two character traits that you can call Daisy are apathetic, specifically for the war, and obsessive. For a good example of her being apathetic for the war, take this quote from page 24. "That was a bomb that went off in the middle of a big train station in London the day after Aunt Pen went to Oslo, and something like 7 or 70,000 people got killed. There's a huge difference between 7,000 and 70,000, and Daisy just doesn't care. In fact, she doesn't really care about anything having to do with the war that doesn't directly involve her. On the other hand, she's completely obsessed with Edmund. Ever since their first kiss, she's been absolutely entranced with him. In fact, when she got separated from Edmund, she immediately tried to find a way to get back to him. After 6 years, Daisy confesses to Edmund that, quote, "The only way I've managed to survive every day for all these years is because of him." End quote. At the end, she stays with Edmund, even though he's just a shell of his former self, beaten and lost. The symbol that best represents Daisy is a heart next to a gun. The heart symbolizes her love and infatuation with Edmund, and her actual familial love for Piper, and the gun represents the war. What matters to Daisy, what she is motivated by, and what drives her actions are all the three same things. Edmund, because she's in love with him, Piper, because that's who's closest to Daisy and who Daisy escaped from the army with, and surviving. On page 63, she confesses, quote, "I was in the hospital because it was convenient. It was the only way to get me out of England. I was not interested in starving, killing, slashing, depriving, maiming, or punishing myself." End quote. What kept Daisy sane is reminding herself what she is grateful for. A part of the book that also describes her well is, quote, "I was dying of loss, of course, but then we all are. Every day, in perfect increments, I was dying of loss. The only help for my condition, then as now, is that I refuse to let go of what I love. I wrote everything down, at first, in choppy fragments, a sentence here, a few words there. It was most I could stand at the time. Later, I wrote more, my grief muffled but not eased by the passage of time." End quote. Daisy also states that even though it's been 6 years since the war started, she still feels like she's living in the start of the war. Quote, "When I go back over my writing now, I can barely read it. The happiness is the worst. Some days I can't bring myself to remember, but I will not relinquish a single detail of the past. What remains of my life depends on what happened 6 years ago. In my brain, in my limbs, in my dreams, it is still happening." End quote. Daisy is an interesting character. Entranced with love, she's able to put war aside until the very end, where she actually needs to escape from a consequence of war. She stayed sane throughout all these years, and at the end, had a happy ending. Thanks for watching, and have a great day.